So our first question from Indian polity, Lakshmikant's books. So Indian constitution is said to be synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. Which among the following statements support this argument? Indian constitution is said to be the synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and judicial supremacy. So which of the following among the are the correct argument? First option, the powers to amend the constitution provides under Article 363 of the constitution. The powers to amend the constitution provided under Article 368 of the constitution. Yes, it is correct. So powers given here, Article 368. So powers to amend the constitution. So to amend the constitution under 368. And second, the power of judicial review provided under Article 13. So power of judicial review mainly provided which article? It is mainly Article 13. It is correct. And here powers to amend the constitution, it is Article 368. So which of the following are correct? So both are correct. C is the answer. Both. C is the correct. So here both are correct. Using the constitution amending power provided under Article 368, Parliament can amend any part of constitution, but this power is not unlimited as, according to Article 13, Parliament cannot enact. So Parliament here, Article 13(2), Parliament cannot enact any law which takes away or abridges the fundamental rights. The power is basis of judicial review. This power limits the sovereignty of the Parliament. Article 21 provided for the phrase procedure established by law instead of due process of law. However, the Supreme Court in the Maneka Gandhi case declared that Indian judiciary follows due process of law as well, where court can go beyond the letters of the law. So Maneka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court declared that Indian judiciary follows due process of law as well, where court can go beyond the letters of a law. So next question, which of the following? So which of the following provisions were part of the objective resolution passed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the Constitution as Constituent Assembly? Okay. So which of the following provisions were part of the objective resolution passed by the Jawaharlal Nehru in the Constituent Assembly? Important question. So part mainly fundamental rights is the part, and second mainly, so it is a part of the objective resolution passed by Jawaharlal Nehru. Second, safeguards to minorities, tribals, and depressed and other backward class. It is part of the objective resolution, so which is passed by the Jawaharlal Nehru. And promotion of world peace and welfare of mankind. So it is the part. So all are correct. All three are correct. So mainly, which of the following are correct? So D is the correct. 1, 2, 3. Promotion, peace, and welfare, and fundamental rights, and safeguard of minorities, tribal, and depressed, and both other backward classes. So we discuss it. So next question, with reference to constitutional provisions regarding freedom of religion, consider the following statement. So freedom of religion. So here, state cannot. Which of the following are correct? State cannot spend the public money from taxation. So for the promotion of any particular religion, yes, it is correct. State cannot spend the particular public money from the taxation for the promotion of any particular religion. Yes, it is correct. And state can impose fees to control the secular administration of religious institutions. State can impose fees to control secular administration of religious institutions. Yes, it is correct. So both are correct. So our answer is C. Both are correct. Okay. So both 1 and 2 are correct. So Constitution prohibits levying tax for promotion or maintenance of any particular religion, but it does not prohibit putting fee or on any religions or religious service. This is because the purpose of fee is to control secular administration of religious institution. So next question. Are which of the following directive principles is not part under part 4 of the Constitution? Not here, not part. Okay, please remember. So institution of in mother language, it is not a directive part, not a part of the directive principles under part 4. So it is wrong. So it is not directive. Yes, it is not the part of the directive principle. So it is correct. Instrument in mother language, it is not the part of the directive principle. And second, claims of SC/ST to services and post of the states. So it is the not part of the under part 4 of the DPSP. So 1 and 2 is the wrong. Now 3, participation of workers in management of industry. Yes, it is correct. So mainly 1 and 2 are mainly not part of the part 4 under. So it is mainly following a directive principle are not part of the part 4, 1 and 2. So apart from DPSP, we mentioned part 4, there are certain other provisions of the Constitution which are in the form of directive principles for the state. These directives are related to the claims of ST/STs to services, institutions, instructions in mother tongue and development of Hindi language. They are also not justiciable in like part 4. So here these directives are related to the claims of SC/ST to services, instruction in mother tongue and development of Hindi languages. Please remember, they are also not just justiciable like part 4. So mainly SC/ST to services and mother language, instruction of mother language, development of Hindi language, all are not like part 4. So not come under, they are not justiciable like part 4. And here one is the correct under article 350A. 2 is the correct under article 335. 3 is the wrong. It is wrong. It is under article 43A in part 4 of the Constitution. So here question is, which of the following directive principles are not under part 4 of the Constitution? So it is not part of the part 4 of the Constitution. It's to instruction of mother language, not part 4, and SC/ST not part 4. But participation of management workers in management and industry, it is the part 4 of the Constitution. So mainly 1 and 2 are not part of the Constitution, DPSP. Okay. So please remember. Next question. So our next question, Constitution makers referred giving legal enforceability to the directive principles of state policy because here our option is, so Constitution makers refrained from giving legal enforceability to the directive principles of state policy because they believed in the awakened public opinion as the ultimate sanction for the fulfillment of these principles. Yes, public opinion is important here. So it is correct. And second, the essential rights to the citizen had been guaranteed through fundamental rights. No, it is wrong. And they knew that these are ideals which could never be implemented, such as driver. No, it is wrong. They knew that the country will never have resource implement these principles. No, it is wrong. So our answer is only A. Option A is correct. The Constitution maker believed that state which was elected by people can hardly even ignore these ideals, since there were difficulties owing to the lack of resource, vastness and diversity of the country. They left it on the wisdom of the people to get these ideals enforced by as laws in due course of time. Statement B is wrong because DPSP tried to ensure welfare state in addition to the rights already guaranteed in the fundamental rights. And statement 3 is wrong. They were aware that it was difficult to implement them. So at the time of independence, however, they believed that it will be possible in future. So here is statement is wrong, because they were aware that it was difficult to implement them at the time of independence. However, they believed that it will be the possible in the future. And statement D is wrong. Lack of resources was the problem at the time of independence, but was never considered as the problem to be perpetual. So our answer is A. So next question, as a court of record, the Supreme Court has which of the following powers? Supreme Court has, so as a court of reports, Supreme Court has which of the following powers? Its judgments and proceedings are recognized as legal precedents and legal enforcement, legal references in the court or in any court of law. Its judgments and proceedings are recognized as a legal procedures and legal reference in any court of law. Yes, it is correct. And it has the power to punish for contempt of any court, including tribunals. So it has the power. Supreme Court has the power to punish for contempt of any court, including tribunals. So it is the correct. So its judgment and proceedings are recognized as the legal precedents and legal references, okay, in any court of law. So it is correct. Both are correct. So SC has two powers. The judgment proceedings acts of SC are recorded for perpetual memory and testimony. These records are admitted to be evidentiary value and cannot be questioned when produced before any court. They are considered as legal precedents and legal references. It has the power to punish for contempt of court either with simple imprisonment for a term of 6 months within the and with fine 2,000 with only of itself, but also high courts, subordinate courts, and tribunal function in the entire country. So consider the following statements. Which of the following about the money bill? So a money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. It is correct. A Rajya Sabha cannot reject or amend a money bill. So it is correct. So it is mainly introduced in the Lok Sabha, and Rajya Sabha cannot reject, amend a money bill. So both are correct. So a money bill can be introduced in the Lok Sabha that too on the recommendation of the president. Even every such bill is considered to be a gov bill and can be introduced only by a minister. So it is only introduced by a minister. Please remember, money bill. And after the money bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, it is transmitted to the Rajya Sabha. After a money bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, okay, उसका बाद क्या होगा ना, transmitted होगा by Rajya Sabha to the Rajya Sabha for its consideration. Rajya Sabha has rejected the powers with regard to a money bill. It cannot reject or amend a money bill. Rajya Sabha has restricted powers with regard to a money bill. It cannot reject or amend money bill. Okay, so it cannot reject or amend the money bill. It can only make recommendation. Please remember, Rajya Sabha has restricted powers with regard to a money bill. It cannot reject or amend a money bill. It can only make recommendation. It must return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days, whether with or without recommendation. So it must return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days, whether with or without recommendation. The Lok Sabha can either accept or reject all or any other recommendation to the Rajya Sabha. So our next question. Which of the following are financial powers of the President of India? So which of the following are the financial powers of the President of India? So money bills can be introduced in the Parliament only with the prior recommendation. Yes, it is correct. So here are financial powers of the President. So money bills can be introduced in the Parliament only with the prior recommendation. Second, no demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. Only President's recommendation. No demand for a grant can be made. Okay, so accept president's recommendation, and he can make advances out of contingency fund of India. He can make advances out. He can make advances out of the contingency fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure. He can make advances out of the contingency fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure. So mainly 1, 2 and 3 all are correct. So our answer is D. Please remember, D is the answer. So here he gave, mainly all the given statements are financial powers of the president. So here financial powers are and functions of the president are money bill can be introduced in the parliament only with the prior recommendation, his prior recommendation. He causes it to be laid before the parliament. The annual statement, that is the union budget, he causes to be laid before the parliament the annual financial statement. No demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. No demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. He can make advances out on the contingency fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure. He can make advances out of the contingency fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure. He constitutes a finance commission after every 5 years. He constitutes a finance commission after every 5 years to recommend the distribution. So please remember, he constitutes a finance commission after every 5 years to recommend the distribution of revenue between center and the states, and he can make advances out of the contingency fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure. No demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. He causes to be laid before the parliament to the annual financial statement, that is the union budget. So next question, the Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act 1935 marked the major milestone towards the establishing responsible government in India. What do you understand by responsible government in this context? So mainly 1935 marked a major milestone towards the establishing a responsible government in India. What do you understand by the responsible government in the in this context? So the government. So first option, the governor was required to act with the advice of ministers responsible to the provincial legislatures. The governor was required to act with the advice of ministers responsible to the provincial legislature. So yes, it is correct. The governor was required to act with advice of ministers, responsible to the provincial legislature. Yes, it is correct. B. The Government of India took major steps in promoting the welfare of the vulnerable section of the population. No, it is wrong. And the viceroy government and ministers would conduct themselves strictly based on law. So not correct. So governor, viceroy and minister would conduct, but it is would not conduct. Okay, so bureaucracy will act as the instruction of the elected representatives instead of the governor and viceroy. No. So mainly Government of India Act 1935 Act introduced responsible government in provinces, that is the governor was required to act with the advices of ministers responsible to the provincial legislature. This come into effect 1937 and was discontinued in 1939. Okay. So last question. Okay. Which of the following are most appropriately explains the system of diarchy introduced by the Government of India in 1999? Diarchy. There was a division of control of the Government of India and the British Secretary of State and the Viceroy. So there was a division. No, it is wrong. And it is not related to the Government of India Act 1990. Administration of India was divided between central and provincial government. No, it is not related. And both officials and non-officials councils of governor generals got right to issue ordinance. No, it is wrong. Why wrong? I discussed you. The 1990 Act, okay, divided the provincial subject into two parts: transferred and reserved. Please remember, transferred subjects were administered by governor with aid of ministers responsible to the legislative council. Transferred subjects were to be administered by the governor with the aid of ministers responsible to the legislative council. The reserved subjects, on the other hand, were to be administered by the governor and his executive council, with being responsible to the legislative council. So please remember, the 1990 Act divided provincial subjects into two parts: transferred and reserved. Transferred subjects were determined to be administered by the governor with the aid of ministers responsible to the legislative activity. Administered by the governor with the aid of ministers responsible for the legislative activities. Legislative council. The reserved subjects, on the other hand, were to be administered by the governor. So the transferred subjects were administered by the governor with the aid of minister responsible here to the legislative council, but minister is the responsible. But here reserved subjects, on the other hand, administered by the governor, but executed by the executive council. Okay, executive council with his executive council without being responsible to the legislative council. This dual system of governance is known as diarchy. So his executive council without being responsible to the legislative council. Please remember. So now we discuss all the things. So thank you. Subscribe, please.